My new work has been released. Welcome everyone to read my work in tomato novel. I hope everyone can enjoy it. Your attention is the driving force behind my writing, and I will strive to tell every story well. Chapter 1. Traversing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A.I. Young suddenly opened his eyes and found himself lying on a delicate beach, which was as white as clouds bleached by the sunlight. The sun shone on him, and the sea breeze blew gently, carrying a salty taste of seawater. He rubbed his eyes, trying to see the surroundings clearly. This is a completely unfamiliar place. He has never seen such a beach before, nor has he ever felt the breath of the sea up close. He slowly stood up and began to look around. In the distance, he saw the vast sea, with waves crashing against the rocks on the shore, emitting roars. Not far away were rows of coconut trees, their leaves swaying in the wind as if waving to him. Young stepped on the soft beach, the sand as if it were alive, gently massaging the soles of his feet. Where is this? Why am I here? Young muttered to himself. He tried to recall how he came here, but his mind was in chaos and he couldn't remember anything. When did my hands become so petite? At that moment, Young stared in shock and lowered his head to see his palm, which was much smaller than before. In this stunned moment, Young also realized his change. His body seemed to have shrunk a lot, as if it had become the size of a child. He hurriedly ran to the beach, taking advantage of the reflection of the seawater, hoping to see his current appearance clearly. Then Young saw a very unfamiliar face, which was the appearance of a typical Western teenager, looking around 10 years old. He has a delicate face at this moment, and is only about 1.5 meters tall. He has a slender figure and short golden hair. Young looked at herself in the sea, standing by the seaside, with endless thoughts surging in her heart. He murmured to himself, "Damn it, I've traveled through time. And it's still soul-piercing. So, I'm dead." Then he also recalled the scene after work in the early morning yesterday. At that time, he dragged his tired body back home and, in order to relieve fatigue, he took a hot bath in his own bathroom. Did you faint due to excessive fatigue while taking a bath, and then drown? Young's heart was filled with doubts and confusion. It's better to die. Compared to continuing to live like that, death can also be considered a kind of liberation. He felt an inexplicable ease, as if he had unloaded a heavy burden. But he felt a sense of confusion and unease again, because he didn't know exactly where this place was. Can he adapt to this unfamiliar world? And this unfamiliar body? At this moment, a crisp voice like a silver bell rang in his ear. Who are you? How come I haven't seen you? This voice was like a clear spring, reaching Young's ears, lost in thought. Young was slightly taken aback and then turned around. Then he saw a little girl wearing a purple short skirt and a wreath on her head, standing not far behind him. The sunlight shone on her, as if casting a golden halo over her. Her smile is like a blooming flower, bright and warm, making people unable to help but feel happy. Young looked at the little girl and took a deep breath, trying to calm his emotions. Then he asked the girl, "Who are you? What is this place?" After hearing Young's question, the little girl smiled slightly and said to him, "My name is Robin, Nico Robin. This is O'Hara Island in the West Sea. Who are you? Are you a victim at sea?" Young was stunned when he heard the little girl say so. Robin from One Piece, and this is still O'Hara. How could I travel to this world?" Young thought in her mind. After learning that this was the Pirate King, his heart was shattered. Because here, in addition to the supernatural powers, there is also a more magnificent sea, as well as heroes from all over the world and pirates who plunder on the sea. It can be said that this world is simply a world of blood and slaughter, where the weak have no living space. And Robin watched as Young stood still, his eyes also flickering with curiosity. She could feel the unique aura emanating from AI Yang's body, making her unable to resist wanting to get closer. Then Robin walked up to him, shook his little hand in front of him, and asked. Big Brother has come to his senses, have you remembered anything? Upon hearing Robin's words, Yang took a deep breath and slowly spoke, My name is Yang, and I am from the South China Sea island of Meijland. I followed my family's fleet to do business in the flower country. But our fleet encountered a sea beast on the sea, and it capsized all of our ships. After finishing these words, Ai Yang weakly said, I don't know how many days I've been floating on the sea. I'm really lucky to be able to float here. Robin, do you have any food on you now? I feel like I'm starving. After hearing this, Robin's eyes flashed with a hint of pity. He then touched his own body and said to him with embarrassment, Ai Yang, I'm really sorry. I don't have anything to eat on me either, but I can pick a few coconuts for you. After Robin finished speaking, he ran to the coconut tree not far away, crossed his hands in front of his chest, and then his fair arms appeared on the tree, picking a not very big coconut. Robin controlled his arm and threw the coconut down, then picked a few more coconuts for Yang before retracting his arm. After retracting her arm, she quickly ran to the coconuts and ran towards Yang with a coconut in her hand. Yang looked at Robin's posture just now and pretended to be surprised, staring blankly at Robin running over. After seeing Yang's expression, Robin also pitifully said to him. Yang, didn't it scare you? But don't worry, I'm not a monster. And when Yang heard Robin say this, he also smiled and said to Robin. What's scary about it, isn't it just the devil fruit ability? I have a bodyguard at home who can even turn into a rhinoceros. I'm just surprised, you're just lucky. You know, any demon fruit is a treasure worth billions of dollars. Robin was shocked by Yang's words and exclaimed in surprise. What, that oddly shaped fruit can sell for hundreds of millions, but it's a pity because I've already eaten it. Otherwise, after the money is sold, I'll give it to my aunt, and she'll be very happy and won't hit me again. Speaking of this, Robin's face showed a look of fear, which made people couldn't help but want to walk up to her and protect her well. Chapter 2. System successfully opened. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Upon hearing Robin's narration, Yang put down the coconut in his hand and walked slowly to Robin's side. He gently touched Robin's tender little face, his deep eyes filled with love. He asked in a low voice, Little Robin, can you share your story with me? I can see that you seem to be afraid of your aunt. Robin felt Yang's care, and her uneasy heart gradually calmed down. She looked up at Yang who was within reach, her small face flushed with excitement, and began to tell her story. More than 10 minutes had passed, and Yang was drinking coconut juice while listening to Robin's story. In Robin's words, he felt his strength and bravery, as well as her loneliness and helplessness. When Robin finished telling his story, Yang put down the coconut in his hand and walked over to Robin, holding her hand. His gaze was firm and gentle, and he whispered, Little Robin, I don't know if my parents are still alive, but I can feel your loneliness. From now on, I will protect you and not let anyone bully you. Are you willing to be my sister? Robin looked up at Yang in surprise upon hearing his words. Tears flickered in those big eyes, touching, surprising, and looking forward to the future. She nodded shyly, and at that moment, she seemed to have found a true reliance. Upon seeing this, Yang hugged Robin and his laughter echoed in the air. He excitedly said, Haha. I finally have a younger sister, and from now on, I will also have such a lovely sister. Robin lay in Yang's arms, although his body was not full at the moment, even a bit thin and weak, for her, it was a warmth and sense of security she had never felt before. After a while, a gurgling sound came from Yang's stomach. Then Yang shyly put down Robin and said to him, Little sister, can you take me to your village for a walk? Although I just drank some coconut juice, I'm still very hungry. Robin smiled and nodded, then she took Yang's hand and said to him, all right. Brother, I'll take you to our village now and meet Grandpa Clover. He's the best person to me. Then Ayang nodded, and the two of them held hands and walked towards the depths of the island. The sunshine that day was particularly warm, as if also joyful for their meeting. And as Robin pulled Ayang towards the depths of the island, a systematic warning sound came to his mind. Ding, detected that the host recognizes the plot character Robin as his sister, and the system is currently activating. After hearing this voice, AI Young smiled happily in her mind. Here it is, my golden finger, he has finally arrived. I just said why I don't have a system. It turns out that specific conditions are needed to enable it. I don't know what my system is or what benefits it can bring me. Ai Young was full of anticipation, looking at the progress bar in his mind, constantly jumping, 1%, 2%, 3%. 10%, 20%, 30%. When the progress bar jumped to 100%, the system prompt sound reappeared in his mind. Ding, congratulations to host AI Young, the plot has been successfully broken and the system has been successfully bound. Ding, the host can obtain damage points by changing the plot of the One Piece character. If the damage points are sufficient, they can be exchanged for items such as elixirs, skills, and demon fruits. Ding, congratulations to host Ai Young for successfully activating the system and rewarding beginners with a large gift package. Do you want to activate the beginner gift package? 3 consecutive system prompts echoed in Ai Yang's mind, making him jump with joy. And when Robin saw the brother he knew and heard him take him to see Grandpa Four-Leaf Grass, he was overjoyed and laughed. He just pulled Ai Young and walked towards the distance. In Ai Yang's mind, all his attention was focused on the system page in his mind. Looking at the illusory page in front of me, there are some of my current attributes on it. There is also a backpack interface below the attribute bar, with a large gift package placed in the first column. Host. Ai Young Strength. 3, 8, Physical Strength. 2, 9, Intelligence. 114 Speed. 2, 8, Daily Value. 7, 25, Status. Physical Weakness. Skills. Basic Navigation Skills, Basic Trade Skills. Devil Fruit. None Damage Value. 100. After glancing at the current attribute panel, Ai Young focused his attention on the large gift package in his backpack and chose to turn it on. Ding, the beginner's big gift package has been opened. Congratulations to the host Ai Young for obtaining 1 golden crow fruit and a qualification to awaken the dominance of the game. As the system prompt sounded, Ai Young was very surprised and looked incredulous. Then Ai Young felt his brain being forcibly filled with something, but that feeling disappeared in the blink of an eye. Then Ai Young saw an additional skill in the skill column on the system page. Overlord Color and Domineering Aura, not awakened. Seeing this skill, Ai Young became more and more excited. This system is really awesome. Just a beginner's big gift package, give yourself 2 big gifts. He has absolute confidence that with just these 2 gifts, he can become the strongest in this world. After looking at the golden fruit in the backpack and hesitating for a moment, he didn't rashly take it out of the system backpack. After all, Robin is right beside her, making it difficult for her to explain. Let it stay quietly in its backpack for now, right? When Ai Young shifted his attention from his mind, he found himself walking behind Robin in a small town. They are currently walking towards a very large tree on the other side of the town. Ai Young looked at the big tree next to the small town and asked Robin. Little sister, is the big tree in the distance the very famous tree of omniscience on the entire sea? I heard there is a huge library that collects the most books on the entire sea. Is this all true? Robin heard Ayang's question and smiled at him. Brother, all the legends from the outside world are true. There is a huge library there, which contains about hundreds of thousands of various books. And the Clover grandpa I just told you about is the director of that library and also the most authoritative scholar in our O'Hara. Upon hearing Robin's words, Iang didn't say anything and slowly followed him towards the Tree of All Knowledge. After a while, the two of them arrived at the foot of the Tree of All Knowledge. Some young people warmly greeted Robin when they saw him. "Little Robin is here, he came a bit early today." "Little Robin, who is this handsome little guy behind you? I haven't seen him before." Robin heard these two people ask this question and also spoke to them. "I just met my older brother, named Young. He is from the South China Sea. I met him at the beach, and I came to take him to see Grandpa Sanyi Grass. Have there been any other victims coming to this island recently?" The two of them heard Robin say this and also said to her, "So it's like this. Then you can take your brother Young inside. The doctor is currently in the Tree of Omniscience." Robin heard the two of them say this, said goodbye to them, and then continued to pull Young towards the Tree of All Knowledge. Chapter 3. The Tree of All Knowledge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just as she reached the bottom of the Tree of All Knowledge, a beautiful-looking woman walked out of the door. "Hey, little Robin, who is this guy you're holding? He looks pretty handsome. Is he your little boyfriend?" "Ah. Auntie Roman, what do you mean by little boyfriend?" "This is my newly recognized brother, whom I met at the beach. Let me take him to meet Grandpa Clover." "It's my newly recognized brother." "That's great. As for what my boyfriend is, why don't you ask me when you grow up? Dr. Sanyi Chow is inside. Can you take your brother inside to find him? I'll go back to the clinic first." "I'll take your brother to the clinic when I have time. I see he's a bit weak now, so I'll take good care of him later to prevent him from falling ill in the future." Robin heard Aunt Roman say so and didn't say anything. He spoke to her. "Thank you, Aunt Roman. I'll take Brother Young to your clinic later." And Young also bowed to her and said, "Thank you to Mrs. Roman. When I make money in the future, I will definitely make up for it." And Roman also shook his head and said to Young, "No need to do this, as long as you can take good care of little Robin in the future. After all, little Robin is also quite pitiful. With your brother's protection in the future, she can also have a happier life." Upon hearing Roman say this, Iang nodded and said to her, "Don't worry, I will take good care of Robin in the future, after all, she is my first sister." And when Roman heard Iang say this, he smiled and said to him, "That's settled then. Remember to come to my clinic with Robin later, and I'll take good care of your body." After finishing these words, Mrs. Roman did not stop and walked towards her own clinic. After seeing Mrs. Roman leave, Robin and Iang also walked towards the Tree of Omniscience. When Young saw everything inside the Tree of All Knowledge, even the prepared Young was shocked by it. The entire Tree of All Knowledge library is at least 10 floors high and at least 50 meters high. A spiral wooden step surrounds the trunk and goes upwards until reaching the topmost layer. All around the trunk are hollowed-out bookshelves, layer after layer, neatly storing various books. Just as Young was still marveling at the Tree of Omniscience, a white-haired old man with hair combed in the shape of a clover slowly came between him and Robin. Then he spoke to Robin and asked, "Little Robin, you're here. Can't you introduce me to this person who came with you?" Robin heard Dr. Clover's question and quickly spoke to him. "Grandpa Sanyi Chow, this is Young. I met him on the beach and I brought him to see you. I just wanted to ask Grandpa, have anyone else been on our island recently?" Dr. Sanyi Chow shook his head when he heard Robin's question and said to them, "Sorry. Recently, there have been no outsiders on the entire island. Can you tell me why they came to me and asked these questions?" Robin and Young heard Dr. Sanyi Chow ask this question, and Young also told Dr. Sanyi Chow his own story. After hearing what Young said, Dr. Sanyi Chow also touched his head and said to him, Poor little one, why don't we just live here now? I'll ask other scholars on the sea to see if there are any survivors in your fleet. But don't have too much hope, after all, your fleet has encountered small sea kings, and the chance of survival from them is not high. Being able to survive from the mouths of sea kings like you is considered extremely unlucky. Upon hearing Dr. Senyi Chao's words, Ai Yang pretended to accept his fate. After seeing Ai Yang's expression on the side, Robin quietly grabbed his hand and whispered to him. "Ai Yang brother, don't be sad, don't you still have me? I will definitely not leave you." Upon hearing Robin say this, Ai Yang nodded and then held her in his arms, whispering to him. "Thank you, it's great to have you here." After saying these words, Ai Yang fainted weakly. After seeing this scene, Robin panicked and then asked Dr. Clover. "Grandpa Senyi Chao, look at my brother. Why did he suddenly faint?" Dr. Senyi Chao quickly came to Ai Yang's side, placed his hand on his chest, felt his heartbeat, pulled out his tightly closed eyes, and then spoke to Robin. "Little Robin, your brother is fine, he's just a bit weak." After hearing that their fleet doesn't have a chance to survive, under double pressure, he just fainted from hunger. "I will arrange for someone to take him to Mrs. Roman's clinic and ask her to supplement his nutrition, so that he can wake up." Upon hearing Dr. Senyi Chao's words, Robin's heart sank and he stayed quietly beside Ai Yang. With the help of 2 scholars, he went to the small town clinic with him. A few hours later, Ai Yang, lying on the hospital bed, finally recovered from a coma and slowly opened his eyes. "Brother, you're awake. You scared me to death just now, I thought you were going to leave me too." A crisp child's voice rang in his ear. Ai Yang turned to see Robin standing by the bed, tears flashing in his eyes, obviously because he was worried too much just now. Ai Yang smiled slightly and reached out to touch Robin's small wheat-colored face, which showed a hint of tenderness. He said softly. "How could that be? Don't worry, I'm not willing to leave you while guarding such a lovely sister." Robin heard Ai Yang say this and immediately showed a brilliant smile. She looked at Ai Yang with a smile and continued. "Brother, take a good rest today. Dr. Senyi Chao just said when you were unconscious that you can become a librarian in the library in the future. Not only can you take a sum of money, but you can also freely view all the books in the entire library. And Dr. Senyi Chao will also entrust other scholars who are away to inquire about your family's information." After listening to Robin's words, a warm current surged in Ai Yang's heart. He knew that it was Dr. Senyi Chao taking care of him, and he remembered this kindness in his heart. He looked at Robin quietly and then said to Robin. "Little sister, thank the doctor for me first. After I recover, I will personally thank him for taking us in." Robin nodded and then gently grasped Ai Yang's hand, whispering softly. "Brother, don't worry, I have already thanked Dr. Senyi Chao. You need to rest well now and try to recover as soon as possible. I will go back to my aunt's house to get you some food first." Ai Yang nodded when he heard Robin say this. After all, he was really weak now and could only lie quietly in bed. Robin saw that Ai Yang didn't say anything, so she turned around and left the room, walking towards her aunt's house. Ai Yang lay in bed, looking at Robin's departing figure, his heart filled with warmth, and then looked at Robin disappearing in front of him and spoke. "Don't worry, I will take you and your mother to escape together, and then I will not let you hide alone like the original story." Chapter 4. Eating Devil Fruit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next morning, Ai Yang slowly got up from bed, his eyes showing determination and anticipation, as if a new day would bring him endless surprises. After thanking Mrs. Roman, he followed Robin and walked towards the direction of the Tree of Omniscience not far away, following the morning dew. Since then, in the library of the Tree of All Knowledge, there has been an elegant librarian, a young man known for his exceptional memory. The library of the Tree of All Knowledge has a vast collection of books, even Dr. Clover doesn't know how many there are. But Ai Yang is like a fish swimming in water, with ease. No matter what book scholars need, he can quickly help them find them with his powerful memory, which amazed many scholars. The doctors of O'Hara praised this young man with amazing memory even more. In less than half a month, Ai Young received his first payment. He was carrying Dr. Clover, who had just given him 50,000 Baileys, caressing the hard-earned reward, and eagerly ran to the fruit stall in the small town. He carefully selected 2 baskets of fresh fruits and planned to give them to Dr. Clover and Mrs. Roman, respectively. Not only that, he also carefully took out the golden crow fruit from the system backpack, then tightly grasped it in his hand and put it into his pocket. After sending out 2 more fruit baskets, he found Robin, pulled her to a relatively hidden corner, and then hid with her. After seeing that no one could notice the 2 of them, he took out the golden black fruit from his pocket. Robin looked at the strange fruit in Iang's hand and almost exclaimed in surprise. Fortunately, Ai Young was quick-witted and covered her mouth to prevent her from making any noise and causing unnecessary trouble. Robin's mood gradually calmed down as she looked at Ai Young and asked curiously. "Brother, is this the devil fruit you mentioned before? I once had the ability to grow arms in other places because I had eaten a pink fruit. But the taste of that fruit is simply unforgettable. It's simply indescribable." Upon hearing Robin's words, Iang nodded and explained solemnly, "Yes, this is the devil's fruit. I found this fruit at a fruit stall in the town, so I took the opportunity to hide it. If we sell it, we can at least earn billions of dollars. This way, you can break free from your aunt's constraints and have your own house." After listening to Iang's words, Robin shook her head and said firmly, "Brother, I don't think you should sell it for money. You should eat it and make it your strength. Since it can be discovered by you, it means it has a connection with you. Surprisingly, this demon fruit can bestow upon you powerful abilities, so you should eat it even more. When you become stronger, then you can better protect me." Upon hearing Robin's words, Iang felt a warm surge in her heart. He looked at Robin excitedly and said excitedly, "Little sister, do you really think so? If we sell it, we can immediately have a huge sum of money. Then you can get rid of your aunt's bullying and live a better life." Robin smiled and shook his head, then said to him, "Brother, will you eat it? Even without this money, I will leave my aunt's house and live with you in the tree of all knowledge. I already have an older brother, so I don't want to continue living with them." Ai Young looked at Robin's resolute gaze, and a surge of courage surged in his heart. He picked up the golden black fruit in his hand and took a bite. Although he had already heard that the taste of devil fruit was difficult to swallow, when he tasted the nauseating taste, he couldn't help but turn purple and vomit. "Ah, this smell is really unbearable." Ai Young covered his mouth, frowned and said, then threw the remaining golden crow fruit in his hand onto the ground. And Robin couldn't help but laugh as he looked at Iang's painful expression. She also knew that the reason why Ai Young did this was to better protect herself. Ai Young gazed quietly at Robin, where she was smiling brightly, as if the warm spring sun illuminated the whole world. A warm current surged in his heart, but he didn't say anything, just silently feeling the power surging inside his body. The power of the golden fruit is flowing in his veins, like a golden stream, warm and powerful, constantly improving his body. In no time, a blazing breath erupted from within him, and then he saw his hands, as if ignited by a golden flame, transforming into a pair of huge wings. The feathers on the wings are like burning flames, shining with golden light. He took a deep breath and then spread his wings in front of Robin, flying towards mid-air. Robin watched as Iang turned into a golden stream of light and disappeared from his sight, feeling envious for a moment. However, when she looked up again, she saw Ai Young descending from the sky, with golden wings shining brightly in the sunlight. He slowly landed in front of Robin, with a soft smile on his face. "Little sister, the fruit I just ate is a Jinwu fruit, which is a very powerful demon fruit of the mythical beast species." Ai Young spoke to Robin, his voice full of confidence and pride. Robin couldn't help feeling happy for Iang as he listened. After all, the stronger he was, the safer she would be in the future. Brother, just now I saw you dancing in the air, and I envy you very much, Robin said, looking up at Ai Yang's eyes. Can you hold me and let me experience the joy of flying too? Ai Yang didn't hesitate to look at Robin's expectant gaze, and directly transformed into a half-orc form, with arms turned into wings and legs turned into 3 legs. He gently hugged Robin with one wing, and then with a force from his feet, he jumped into mid-air. Robin felt a powerful force tightly enveloping him, as if there was a gentle arm holding her tightly. She closed her eyes tightly, feeling the sound of the wind whistling past her ears, as if the whole world was spinning under her feet. Ai Yang was dancing his other wing like this, soaring over O'Hara with Robin. After adapting for a while, Robin let Ai Yang hold him and flew over O'Hara, occasionally making a few exclamations that caught the attention of the residents below. After hearing news from some scholars, Dr. Senyi Chao also ran out of the Tree of Omniscience. When he saw Robin being embraced by a monster burning golden flames, he also shouted at Ai Yang. "Monster, put down little Robin, otherwise I will contact the Navy now and have them send someone to arrest you. You should know that our O'Hara team is working with the world's AF, and even if the Navy cannot arrive quickly, they will still issue a wanted notice for you, making it difficult for you to live peacefully." Ai Yang, who was dancing in the air, heard Robin and quickly fell from the air after hearing the voice of Dr. Clover before coming to his side. Chapter 5. Historical Text. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When other scholars saw the monster dancing in the air and quickly fell towards Dr. Sanyi, they also quickly ran to him and protected Dr. Sanyi tightly behind him. However, what they didn't expect was that when the monster landed, it quickly transformed into a human form. What's even more surprising is that the monster just now was actually transformed by the new librarian in their Tree of All Knowledge library. Dr. Senyi Chao looked at Ai Yang, who had returned to normal, then gently pushed away the group of scholars blocking him and came to Ai Yang and Robin's side. He then calmly spoke to Ai Yang. "Ai Yang, it's really surprising that you transformed the monster dancing in the air. I should have thought of it. After all, no one else could make Robin scream so happily except for you." After saying these things, he looked at Ai Yang speaking and asked again. "Ai Yang, can you tell me what kind of animal this is? It looks very powerful, not only has flying ability, but also hot golden flames surrounding you. This can prove that the demon fruit you ate is a very rare demon fruit of the mythical beast species." Upon hearing Dr. Senyi Chao's words, Ai Yang nodded and then said to him. "Doctor, the fruit I'm eating is what it told me, it's called Jinwu fruit, which is indeed a very powerful demon fruit of the mythical beast species." Upon hearing what Ai Yang said, Dr. Senyi Chao also showed a surprised expression and excitedly pulled Ai Yang to ask. "Ai Yang, are you sure that devil fruit told you? Did you see that animal? It was indeed what it told me. After finishing the fruit, I saw a big bird dancing in the sun. Then it flew up to me, said its name to me, integrated into my body, and disappeared." Ai Yang was lying like this, introducing the golden crow fruit to Dr. Senyi Chao. After hearing what Ai Yang said, Dr. Senyi Chao excitedly said. "The speculations mentioned in the book are all true, and the devil fruit has its own thoughts. Moreover, the stronger the fruit, the more demanding its chosen owner will be. The legendary fruit of the sun god has never fallen into the hands of the world ZF in nearly 1,000 years of history, and nearby scholars also showed surprised expressions when they heard Dr. Senyi Chao say so. After hearing Dr. Senyi Chao's words, Ai Yang also showed a surprised expression. Then he spoke to him and asked. "Dr. Senyi Chao, are you trying to say that the golden crow fruit I ate is actually the legendary fruit of the sun god?" Dr. Senyi Chao beside him, upon hearing Ai Yang's question, quietly looked at him and then spoke up. "Otherwise, what do you think? As you just said, what you see is a big bird dancing in the sun. It's not the fruit of the sun god, so what is it?" After finishing these words, he spoke to everyone around him. "Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you can immediately forget what I said today, because it is something that the world ZF is unwilling to admit. After finishing these words, he pulled Yang and Robin towards the tree of omniscience. And those scholars pretended that nothing had happened after seeing Dr. Senyi Chao leave with the two of them, each doing their own activities. On the other side, Dr. Senyi Chao pulled Yang and Robin back and forth inside the tree of all knowledge, and then came to a wall. Dr. Senyi Chao casually pressed on the bookshelf not far away, and then the wall slowly opened, revealing a staircase leading to the underground. After dealing with these, Dr. Senyi Chao said to the two of Yang. This is our secret of O'Hara, and it is also a history that the world ZF does not want to mention. I hope you two will not spread this place. Yang and Robin heard Dr. Sanyekeo say this, glanced at each other, then nodded affirmatively at the same time, and then said to Dr. Sanyekeo. Don't worry, do you? The two of us will definitely not reveal this. After hearing their voices, Dr. Senyi Chao didn't say anything and just walked down with them. When the three of them reached the bottom of the stairs, Yang and Robin saw that there was also a huge space here, not only a huge lake. Not far from the lake, there is a huge black stone. In front of that stone, there are some elderly people with almost all white hair, who are discussing fiercely there. When they discovered that Dr. Three-Leaf Grass was carrying two children, they all came to him and complained to him. Kloba, why did you bring two little dolls in? The last time you came in, a woman didn't matter. Although she passed our test and had the opportunity to understand the blank for 100 years, she was also knowledgeable enough. But this time you brought two children in, it's a bit excessive. You don't think they can also pass our test, do you? Dr. Senyi Chao heard them say this, shook his head, and then said to them. I brought them down this time not because they met the assessment criteria, but because this child ate a demonic fruit. According to his description, I believe that the demonic fruit he ate was the disappearing fruit of the sun god. Those few people heard Dr. Senyi Chao say this and looked at Yang in surprise, shouting in surprise. What are you saying? He ate a demonic fruit, and you think it could be the fruit of the sun god? You should know what the meaning of the sun god fruit is, right? Dr. Senyi Chao on the side also nodded and repeated the story that Yang had told them. After hearing Senyi Chao's description, the few people present also looked straight at Yang. One of the elderly men with particularly long white hair said to Dr. Clover. If the fruit he ate is really the sun god fruit that has disappeared for nearly 800 years, then does it mean that the person who can overthrow the world ZF in the future has returned now? Yang beside him heard him say this and showed a surprised expression, then asked the doctor. Doctor, what do you mean by overthrowing the world ZF? I was just eating a demonic fruit, and now you all think that I will overthrow the world ZF in the future. What's going on? The old man with long hair beside him, hearing Yang's question, quietly found a chair to sit down and then talked to Yang about the history that was left blank for 100 years 800 years ago. Chapter 6. CP9 is here. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time flies so fast. It has been 2 years since I learned about the 100-year history of the blank space that day. As Yang, who knows the history of the One Piece world, and also knows about the fact that O'Hara's investigation was blank for 100 years, it was also brought to the ears of the world ZF because Nicole Orbia was arrested. Although after 2 years of training, Yang has grown to over 1.9 meters and can even reach a huge body of 5 meters when transforming into animal form, he still did not protect the entire O'Hara under the lineup of the demon-slaying order. But with Robin and her mother running away, there is indeed a great deal of confidence. Just as we entered February 1500, Robin suddenly came to Yang's side and spoke to him. Yang, I met another strange person at the beach today. I thought he was just like the two of us, a demon fruit expert, but later I found out that he was actually a giant. Yang, you must know about giants, right? You should know that giants are the most powerful human race in the world, and I never expected to encounter them in the West Sea. But he laughs so strangely. Surprisingly, it makes a lot of giggling sounds. Robin had just imitated the giant's voice, causing Iang's eyes to contract for a moment, but in an instant he calmed down and asked Robin. "Robin, show me the way now and take me to see if that giant is good. I'm also curious about what the giant looks like." Robin nodded when he heard Iang ask, and then a large number of arms appeared behind Robin, transforming into a pair of wings, carrying him into the air. Upon seeing this scene, Yang transformed into a half-orc form and followed Robin, flying towards the seaside. Then the two of them arrived at the seaside, and Yang discovered a giant who was rafting there. "Oh, Robin Sauce is back, isn't this guy the brother you're talking about? From your current form, you can tell that it's indeed a very powerful demon fruit of the phantom beast type. My name is Hagawal D. Sorrow, a former Rear Admiral of the Navy. Regardless of the past, I would more or less invite you to join the Navy headquarters. But after seeing the darkness of the naval headquarters, I have no place to linger on. I asked little Robin to call you over this time to transform you into a beast form and fly with me to O'Hara, because there is about to be the bombardment of the demon-slaying order. Where should I go to help them block the demon-slaying order and buy some escape time for those scholars?" After hearing him say this, Robin and Iang on the side also showed surprised expressions, and then Iang spoke to him. "If you want to go to O'Hara, then you don't need me to take you there, because this is O'Hara. And what is the situation with O'Hara you mentioned? Why did the Navy send the demon-slaying order to our O'Hara?" Upon hearing Iang's words, Sorrow slapped his forehead and said to the two of them, "Oh my! Why didn't I ask where this place is? If I had just asked, I wouldn't have missed it for so long. According to the current schedule, those CP9s should have arrived inside the Tree of All Knowledge with Orbia." Right when Robin heard Sorrow say the name Orbia, he showed a surprised expression and then asked him. "Uncle Sorrow, is the full name of Orbia you just mentioned Nico Orbia?" Sorrow heard Robin say this, nodded, and spoke to her. "The scholar whom the General of the Warring States asked me to arrest is indeed named Nico Orbia. How did you know her full name?" After hearing Sorrow's voice, Robin hugged Iang and spoke to her. "Brother, that's my mother. My mother's name is Nico Orbia. I always thought she was dead, but it turns out she's been searching for that blank space for 100 years. No, I need to go back to the Tree of All Knowledge. I need to go save my mother." After speaking these words, she summoned her arms and turned them into a pair of wings, flying towards the Tree of All Knowledge. Iang and Sorrow on the side saw that Robin had already flown away, and the two of them quickly ran towards him. Iang was flying in the air while opening his system interface and looking at his current attribute panel. Host. Iang Power. 380, 1140 half-beast type, 1900 beast type, physical strength. 410, 1230 semi-beast type, 2050 animal type, intelligence. 114 speed. 600, 3000 half-beast type, 1800 beast type, daily value. 1390, 5370 semi-beast type, 5750 beast type, status. Healthy body skills. Beginner navigation, beginner trade, overlord charm, unawakened, intermediate body art, golden emperor flying kick, golden radiant flame flying wings, and golden flame explosion. Devil's fruit. Golden crow fruit, 30% development, damage value. 2300, looking at my attribute panel, I think it's pretty good, but at most, it's just Luke's combat power during his time on Justice Island, which is equivalent to the level of a naval lieutenant. Even elite generals like flying squirrels cannot be compared, at most they can be compared to those who have just awakened their dominance. But Iang can fly, so he has absolute confidence that he can escape O'Hara with Robin and her mother in a crisis. In the past 2 years, Iang has made every effort to dissuade Dr. Clover and his companions from leaving O'Hara, but they are firmly unwilling to leave. They also said that O'Hara, for them, has already surpassed geographical significance and become a sacred academic temple in their hearts, and they cannot let go of their emotions towards it. However, Iang was well aware that with their investigation, the academic island of O'Hara had already become precarious. As a traveler, he also knew that O'Hara would suffer a catastrophic disaster. However, Dr. Clover and his team turned a blind eye to this because they firmly believed that as long as they cooperated with the World ZF, there would be no risk for O'Hara. Despite AI Yang's earnest efforts, Dr. Sany and his team remained unmoved. They only sent dozens of scholars one after another to pass on O'Hara's wisdom to various parts of the world. And these scholars, like seeds, have taken root and sprouted around the world, inheriting the spirit of O'Hara. Time passed by so quickly that when Robin and Iang arrived near the Tree of All Knowledge, they saw a shocking scene. CP9's Chief Spandaean is leading a group of members to escort scholars from the Tree of All Knowledge. At this moment, their faces were filled with fear and helplessness, as if they knew they were not far from death. Seeing this scene, AI Yang's heart sank and he knew that O'Hara had nowhere to escape at the moment. After a while, some CP9 members handed over some literature to him. Spandaean held the precious documents from the underground floor in his hand, glanced at them briefly, and then slapped them fiercely on the faces of Dr. Sany and his companions. Those documents are the culmination of their years of hard work and a source of academic pride. However, at this moment, they have become evidence that they cannot escape. Spandaean's face showed a proud smile, as if he was enjoying the victory at that moment. For Dr. Clover and his team, this moment was incredibly hopeless. They now know that these people can no longer escape here, and O'Hara is destined to disappear into the long river of history. Chapter 7. Conflict. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When a CP9 member escorted Orbia to Dr. Clover, Spandaean spoke to him. Dr. Sany Chow, who is she? I don't think I need to introduce her anymore. Besides, you scholars are really very backbone. The whole team consists of more than 10 people, and only she survived. Do you know how she survived? She was captured alive after being attacked by a naval lieutenant and knocked unconscious, and Robin beside Iang trembled violently when he saw Orbia. At the same time, Soro also ran nearby, and his huge figure was immediately discovered by CP9 members not far away. Sir, Navy defector Soro is coming towards us. Why don't you take her out of here first? After hearing the voice of CP9, Spandaean quickly looked toward Soro and immediately excitedly said to his subordinates. It's really Soro. What are you waiting for? Why don't you catch him? It's just a naval lieutenant. I brought you all this time, and I don't believe in more than 10 CP9s. I can't even catch a lieutenant general. At this moment, an elderly CP9 heard Spandaean say this and spoke to him. Sir, we also have to be responsible for guarding these scholars and protecting your safety. It's not possible to rush forward and deal with him alone. Spandaean, who was standing beside him, heard him say this and also spoke to him. If that's the case, then leave some people to guard these scholars. If you choose the top 10, I don't believe you 10 can't even catch one person. Take 2 people with you and follow me into the Tree of All Knowledge, and burn it all down for me. After saying these words, Spandaean casually summoned 2 people with his confidant and walked towards the Tree of Omniscience. After seeing their leader leave, the remaining CP9 hesitated for a moment, then stood up a few more people and ran toward Soro. Before Soro could reach the place where Robin and his companions were hiding, he saw some people rushing towards him. Seeing this scene, Soro no longer hesitated and shouted loudly at those CP9. Don't underestimate people. Just send such a little miscellaneous fish to catch yourself. Do you look down on me, Soro? After saying these words, his fist was covered with a layer of black dominance, and he hit the ground with force. With the landing of his fist, within a range of more than 10 meters in front of him, he began to shake violently. Those CP9 members were suddenly knocked to the ground, with some of their bodies falling into the crisscrossing cracks. At this moment, AI Young also flew out of the darkness and, taking advantage of the loophole in CP9, immediately released his move Golden Flame Wings. Golden Flame Wings flew towards the CP9 in front, and for a moment, the CP9 with its body stuck in the gap was hit by these wings, emitting a painful howl. And those who were slightly stronger also used their respective naval 6 moves to avoid the golden flames falling from the sky. And the oldest CP9 also noticed Ai Yang dancing in the air, walking towards him with moon steps. Not only that, he approached Ai Yang while shouting at her. "What kind of person are you? Don't you know that attacking CP9 casually would make you wanted by the world CF?" Ai Yang, who was dancing in the air, heard him ask this question and also spoke to him. "Are you stupid or not? I've already attacked, and you're asking me if I know this rule. How come if I don't know this rule, can you still not let your world ZF want me?" The CP9 boss next to him couldn't figure out what to say when he heard Ai Yang's tone at this moment. Lift his foot up directly, facing the flying Ai Yang in the air is a lawn foot, a huge slash, flying out from his feet and flying towards Ai Yang. He felt that one strike was not enough, and he released 3 consecutive strikes in the air, for equally sized strikes, flying quickly towards Ai Yang. Ai Yang saw this scene without hesitation and quickly dodged. Not only that, he also occasionally releases gilded flames from his wings towards the CP9 below while avoiding slashes. And those golden flames falling from the sky have also caused considerable trouble for the CP9 on the ground. On the other side, Robin, who was hiding his figure and quietly approaching the Tree of All Knowledge, reached her control range and directly released a few arms, holding the necks of those CP9 and touching them. Immediately, 3 people's necks were twisted by Robin and they fell straight down. And the slightly stronger CP9, upon feeling the arms growing out of its body, quickly reacted and directly released the iron block to resist Robin's attack. Then he shouted to the CP9 boss who was hovering in the air while taking moon steps. "Big brother, there is also someone from my side who launched an attack on us. My little brothers have all been taken care of. Can you quickly take the remaining people into the Tree of All Knowledge and take our useless chief away?" The CP9 hovering in the air, upon hearing this person's voice, also found that they had indeed lost 6.7 people. According to the current situation, they are indeed unable to capture Sorrow. Not only can they not capture Sorrow, but their CP9 may also be killed by these few people. After all, they didn't know what kind of means the third person used to kill them without showing up. Seeing that the situation was unfavorable for his side, he didn't hesitate and shouted to the 6 people below. "Everyone stop attacking, let's retreat quickly now. I will enter the Tree of All Knowledge and pull out our useless officer. Then explain the situation to him and ask him to send a signal to the Navy to let these people taste the power of the demon-slaying order." After finishing these words, he rushed towards the direction of the Tree of All Knowledge. And the 3 people in front of Sorrow, who were CP9, did not stop after hearing his command. They quickly stepped on the moon steps and ran towards the outside of the island. And after seeing those CP9 leave, Ai Yang and Sorrow quickly ran towards the Tree of Omniscience. After the 3 of them rescued the scholars who were bound together, Spandaren also followed the 4 CP9s out of the Tree of All Knowledge. When Dr. Sanyi Chao and his team saw a big fire burning inside the Tree of Omniscience, they didn't hesitate and rushed towards it with these scholars. And after seeing those scholars, Spandaren ran and shouted at them. "You scholars are just a bunch of lunatics. Even with such a big fire and running inside, how much can you save?" Then he looked at Sorrow, Ai Yang, and the 2 of them, and shouted. "You 2 are quite impressive, they can actually kill 7 of my subordinates. If you can survive under the cannons of the demon-slaying order, I will definitely give you a satisfactory reward." Chapter 8. Launching the Demon-Slaying Order. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Spandaren ran towards the outside and took out a golden telephone worm from his arms, then lightly pressed it and said to the other side. It has been confirmed that O'Hara is really studying the historical text and attempting to excavate the ancient weapon, the Hades. Please send a signal of attack immediately. Let this island disappear from this sea. Yes. I will immediately command the fleet to launch an attack on O'Hara. A voice came from within the golden telephone worm. After hanging up the golden telephone bug, he immediately shouted to the CP9 boss. Take me away from this island quickly. The demon-slaying order will launch an attack immediately. I don't want to die with these inflexible perverts under the bombardment of the demon-slaying order. The CP9 boss, upon hearing Spandauen's words, quickly picked him up and ran towards the outside of the island on a moonwalk. And as they ran towards the outside of the island, inside the Tree of All Knowledge, the scholars were working hard to transport the books that had not been burned down to the underground level and then throw them into the very large underground lake. Here Robin saw the woman she had been thinking about day and night. Looking at the woman with long white hair, Robin quickly rushed over and hugged her directly. And that woman, upon seeing something similar to herself, immediately understood that the little girl holding her was her daughter whom she had not seen in 6 years. Then he gently stroked her dark long hair and spoke softly to her. It's been a long time since we last saw each other. I didn't expect that at the last moment, we could still see each other. Let's talk to my mother and see if she hates me for saying goodbye without saying goodbye. Robin, who was embraced by Orbia, also spoke to her with a crying voice. I don't hate my mom at all because I know she's doing very meaningful things. Not only that, I also passed the test of the PhDs not long ago and became a qualified doctor of ancient knowledge. Mom, can I hold your hand like this all the time and interpret the scattered historical texts around the world with you? Upon hearing Robin's words, Orbia forcefully embraced him and burst into tears. On the other side, the 10 huge naval vessels surrounding O'Hara, a uniquely shaped telephone worm, rang out simultaneously. All right, the order to kill demons has been issued. Now let the gunners prepare to launch an attack. The commanders on each warship, upon hearing the sound coming from the phone worms, simultaneously issued orders to attack O'Hara to their respective warship gunners. Shoo, 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 100 giant shells of the same specifications flew towards O'Hara. Boom, 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 a large number of shells hit the buildings on the island, emitting deafening roars. Inside the Tree of All Knowledge, everyone became even more anxious when they heard such a dense barrage of shells. Dr. Sanyi Chao quickly walked up to the mother and daughter who were hugging each other and said to them, "Not good, the Navy has launched an attack, and if they don't leave now, it's really too late. Robin, hurry up and take your mother with you, and follow Yang. If you three are lucky, they may not be able to escape from this island." After hearing Dr. Clover's voice, Orbia shook her head and said that it was all her fault. If it weren't for my arrest in researching historical texts, the world ZF wouldn't have come to trouble us, O'Hara. Dr. Sanyi Chao was furious when he heard that Orbia was still complaining that it was all his fault, and shouted loudly at her. Orbia, don't be so motherly here. Hurry up. If you continue to complain here, little Robin will also be very dangerous. After saying these words, he turned his head and looked at Ai Yang, who was guarding Robin's side, and said to him. Ai Yang, although I don't know if you are the one who inherited the fruit of the sun god, now I can only entrust Robin and her mother and daughter to you. Please take them away from O'Hara. Do you think it's okay? Upon hearing Dr. Sanyi Chao's words, Ai Yang nodded and then spoke to him. Doctor, Uncle Sorrow, he made a very large raft on the coast. Why don't you also leave with Uncle Sorrow? Upon hearing Ai Yang's words, Dr. Sanyi Chao immediately shook his head and said. I am the most authoritative historian on this island. How can I leave here? Ai Yang, you should know that all my lifelong efforts are here. Just take Orbia and Robin, the mother and daughter, and leave. You fly in the air with the two of them, it's not easy to be detected by those navies. In the future, the inheritance of O'Hara will depend on the mother and daughter of them. But at this moment, Orbia spoke to Yang. Young man, you're Yang, right? I've heard other scholars talk about you, and you've been taking care of Robin for so long. With your brother by her side, I feel very relieved. Can you hurry up and leave here with Robin? You don't need to bring me along, after all my achievements are here, and it's also because I was arrested that the world government seized the opportunity. Let me, the sinner of O'Hara, accompany O'Hara and rest here forever. Young on the side heard Orbiya say this, shook his head, and then spoke to Orbiya. Auntie, I know you are also very self-blaming, but time doesn't wait. If you still plan to be buried with O'Hara, then don't blame me for using illegal means. Because I don't want Robin to experience the pain of losing his mother again. After all, I have experienced the pain of losing all my family overnight. I really don't want little Robin to experience that kind of pain at such an age. So I'll ask you one last time, are you following the two of us on your own? After I knocked you unconscious, I'll take you two with me. Orbiya didn't hesitate when she heard Young's strong tone and spoke to him. Xiao Young, why are you so persistent? Isn't it more convenient for you to escape alone with little Robin? Why take me, the sinner, and run away with you? And Young, who was standing by, heard her question and also spoke to her. It's because I have the ability to protect your mother and daughter, and I don't want little Robin to experience the feeling of losing his loved ones. Soro, who was lingering on the side, also spoke to Orbiya after hearing Yang's answer. Xiao Oer, I think you should go with Xiao Young because I believe that with your and Xiao Ayer's company, even if little Robin has had a difficult time, she will still feel very happy. And I believe that with little Al's current strength, there is a great chance to protect the two of you who are surrounded by the prominent demon-slaying order. Chapter 9. Refuge Ship. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 10. Red Dog. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In the final moments of O'Hara Island, the residents were like sheep driven by fate, boarding the refuge ship carrying hope for survival. Their eyes are filled with fear and anxiety about the future, but their eyes are more of attachment and reluctance towards their hometown. After a period of time, seeing no one boarding the ship again, these three refuge ships, arranged by World ZF, slowly departed from the port. With the roar of the steam engine, the refuge ship slowly sailed away from the once familiar and warm island of O'Hara. Young stood quietly at the bow of the ship, his gaze fixed on the front, because he knew that he was going to face the famous naval general, Red Dog, who was known for his mad dog. Although he had not yet demonstrated the power to shake the world in the top war, Young knew that the destructive power bestowed upon him by the magma fruit was definitely unmatched by him at the moment. However, Young is not overestimating his abilities. He chose to face the Red Dog just to test his strength and see if he could withstand Sakaski's attack. Because he understood that even if he couldn't resist Sakaski's attack, he could still escape this refuge ship with Robin and Orbiya. Just as Yang was staring at the several warships ahead, a loud noise suddenly came from the other side of O'Hara Island, and then a huge iceberg appeared out of thin air. Upon seeing this scene, Young immediately realized that it was General Kazan's move, and that Soro and his team's actions may have also failed. Looking at the towering iceberg, Young felt a chill strike. Even though it was so far away, he could still feel the cold breath. He could imagine those historians trapped in icebergs, facing the threat of death, with an inexplicable sadness surging in their hearts. Young took a deep breath, suppressed the sadness in his heart, and then lifted his head, his gaze firmly fixed on the several warships in the distance. As the three refuge ships gradually moved away from O'Hara, Yang standing at the bow suddenly saw a person wearing a white coat jumping into the sky from a warship. Then he flew towards them at lightning speed, waving his fist at them as he was still a few hundred meters away from the shelter ship. Suddenly, one magma fist after another, emitting smoke, flew towards these three refuge ships. After seeing this scene, Young didn't hesitate and transformed into a beast shape, then flew into mid-air and shouted to Sakaski over there. Red Dog, you are a Navy lieutenant general and dare to attack a shelter ship. How could you just take me on a golden flame flying wing like this? Then nearly 100 feathers burning golden flames flew out of AI Yang's wings and flew towards those magma fists. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, a large number of feathers wrapped in golden flames hit the fireballs with precision, and then shattered them. Red Dog never dreamed that there were such strong men on these 3 refuge ships, so the large flames he casually released were shattered. Not only that, there were also some feathers burning golden flames that flew towards him through the cracks of his attack. Red Dog didn't panic either. He directly transformed his body into elemental form, allowing the attacks to hit him. Then he watched quietly, and AI Yang, who was dancing in the air, spoke up. I didn't expect O'Hara to have a character like you. Judging from your appearance, it looks quite similar to the Marco in the Whitebeard group, and it must be a very rare species of mythical beasts. As for what you just said, I don't think there's anything wrong. Because there should be no survivors in the place of O'Hara. Surprisingly, you just blocked my attack, indicating that you are not an ordinary person. So let me see how strong you are. Spit out flames. After saying these words, Red Dog once again released a big blow in the direction of AI Yang and the others. However, this time it was clearly different from the previous one. The fists in the sky were several times larger than the previous one, indicating that the Red Dog was starting to move seriously. AI Yang looked at the massive fireballs flying towards him and shouted at Sakaski. Well done, let me see if you, Red Dog, have the strength of a great general as others say. Eat me up, phoenix wings soaring in the sky. As AI Yang's words fell, a nearly 10-meter-long phoenix, wrapped in golden flames, flew out of his body and flew towards the fireballs in the sky. The huge phoenix of fire, at the moment it collided with those fireballs, directly destroyed a large number of fireballs, and then continued to fly towards the Red Dog ahead. The Red Dog quickly let out a loud shout upon seeing the situation. Good courage, then eat me a dog bite Red Lotus. Blinking its eyes, the Red Dog's arm turned into a huge dog head several meters high and charged towards the fire phoenix. Roaming, a loud bang. The powerful shock wave generated by the collision of the two caused the surrounding seawater to roll up nearly 10 meters high waves. In these waves, the 3 refuge ships behind AI Yang appeared very fragile, with the possibility of capsizing at any time. And the Red Dog smashed the fire phoenix of AI Yang and then charged towards him with a fierce force. AI Yang saw the Red Dog flying fiercely towards him and knew that with his current strength, he couldn't compete with him. Then he transformed into a half-orc form, with his wings raised above his head, and a fireball formed above his head, constantly growing larger and larger. When the golden fireball reached a size of about 5 or 6 meters, AI Yang shouted to Red Dog. Red Dog, this is my strongest blow. You must take it on. Jin Yen Yen explodes. Then the huge golden fireball with a diameter of about 5 or 6 meters flew towards the Red Dog. After finishing all of this, AI Yang quickly came to Robin and Orbia's side, hugging them directly in his arms, and then waved his wings and flew quickly towards the sky. Just as AI Yang was flying high into the air with Robin and his daughter, his moves collided with the Red Dog flying towards him. There was another loud bang, and then a huge mushroom cloud appeared at the location where Red Dog had just hit. Countless seawater evaporated beneath the huge mushroom cloud, forming a huge pit several tens of meters deep. Immediately after, a more powerful shock wave erupted at that location, with waves as high as 10 meters spreading towards the surroundings. Not only were the 3 refuge ships overturned by the waves, but also the huge warships of the Navy and World ZF were affected and began to shake violently. AI Yang also took advantage of this opportunity and flew past those warships in the air, quickly breaking out of the encirclement of the Navy and the World ZF. Just as AI Yang broke out of the enclosure, Red Dog also rushed out of the mushroom cloud. When the Navy below saw the appearance of Red Dog at this moment, they couldn't help but be surprised. Due to the Red Dog rushing out of the mushroom cloud, its cloak had completely disappeared, and the coat on its body had also been burned down, revealing the robust muscles inside.